Late Night Health continues. I'm Mark Alyn. Sitting in for Daryl Wayne is John Van Camp, pushing all the buttons and keeping me on time. Hello, John. All right, we're going to speak to another John. We're going to speak with Dr. John M. Kennedy, and we're going to talk about breathing. Dr. Kennedy's background, he's a cardiologist. He is medical director of preventive cardiology and wellness at Marina Del Rey Hospital in Marina Del Rey, California, a place I like to spend a lot of time at. Good restaurants, good vibe, good air, and he's got a new book, The Heart and Brain Play Jump Rope, and this is a book on breathing for kids. Dr. Kennedy, welcome to Late Night Health.
Thanks, Mark. It's great to be here.
I'm really curious. You're a cardiologist. What has that got to do with breathing and breath and working with kids and athletes?
Yeah, so there's actually a lot that we have in common. As a cardiologist, I've seen just thousands of examples of how stress in our lives, regardless of the trigger, it could be our finances or school for kids, it could be a difficult relationship, or even a difficult commute that you may be familiar with, Mark, cruising around Southern California. But all these things trigger stress, and stress causes a release of stress hormones, whether you're a kid or an adult. And these stress hormones wreak havoc on our heart, makes our heart rate go up, makes our blood pressure goes up, makes our blood get thick and sticky, and it can trigger cardiovascular disease. So it relates to all of us. And when we learn effective ways to reduce stress, we can actually protect our heart.
Is that the stress hormone, at least one of them, cortisol? We hear a lot about that in the news.
It is. Cortisol and adrenaline are kind of the bad actors with stress.
Now, with adrenaline, we need that for the flight or fight. You're in an emergency.
That's
right?
true. That's true. So when we get, either fear or we feel threatened in some way, the fight or flight response gets triggered, and it can be protective because our pupils dilate, our blood vessels can dilate, and we can get blood vessels to our big muscles so that we can run away from a threat. But over time, chronic day in, day out, mundane stress, when we're stuck in traffic, when we're worried about a test, when we're waiting in line at Starbucks, that same stress response is triggered, and over time can be very damaging to our delicate cardiovascular tissue.
Standing in that line, getting that dose of caffeine, that also causes stress to go up, doesn't it?
Well,
not being in line, but drinking the caffeine.
Well, not really. Caffeine's interesting. Caffeine in large quantities, yes, can be harmful to our heart because it does cause the adrenaline levels go up, but it also has other positive effects actually for our heart. So caffeine's a tough one. If you take caffeine pills and you take you're drinking 8 shots of espresso, that's not good for you. But if you're having a cup of coffee a day, a cup or 2 a day, it's okay for your heart.
And a lot of athletes will take a hit of coffee or caffeine before working out.
Yep, that's probably okay too. Again, you should probably ask your cardiologist if you're someone that's safe enough to do that. But yeah, in most cases, it's okay.
I actually just coincidentally had seen my own cardiologist yesterday, and I asked him if I had a heart because a lot of people think I'm very cold. And he informed me that I do have a heart and it's beating, which is good news. Yeah. And I have a pulse. Kids today, because of the pressures of the pandemic, because of being quarantined, because they couldn't see their friends except on Zoom or their iPhones, whatever it may be, but they weren't physically in touch. And if you have teenage girls, that's probably a good thing. But because I remember being a teenage boy, and but that had to have caused a different kind of stress than what you and I had growing up.
Absolutely. And, there's a lot of data to show how this was a very traumatic experience for kids. Grade school kids up into the teens. I had firsthand experience with two teenage girls, and it was brutal. You're cut off from everything social. You're stuck inside. You're freaked out about getting infected, or they were scared that I would come home infected, and it was a very scary time. And it's particularly harmful to teenage kids it was particularly harmful to teenage kids because that's the time when their brains are developing, and it's an important milestone in their social and emotional development is connecting with their social groups. And so, unfortunately, it's going to leave a scar on kids that were going through the pandemic at that time in their lives.
But at the same time, pre-pandemic, I'd be out at a restaurant. I'd see a young couple sitting at a table, holding their iPhones or Androids, whatever they had, texting. Right. Now, I don't know if they were saying, hey, I'll be out of this date in an hour, let's hook up. I doubt that they were interacting with each other, which I always want to ask, but I never do. It seems to me that because of technology, teens in particular have lost that ability to socialize.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, that's a really good point. I think it's a different problem altogether. But what I think is interesting about your point is that the pandemic showed us that it kind of showed us about the like sort of natural human biology, and that social interaction really trumped the iPhone or the smartphone. And, I agree with you that the smartphones are incredibly distracting, and they're definitely, delaying and interfering with social skills of kids. And, it's definitely causing problems. But with the pandemic, it's interesting because they couldn't wait to put their phone down and be social again. They couldn't wait to get back to school where they saw their friends. They couldn't wait to do all their extracurricular activities. So, that might have been one of the very positive things that we learned from the pandemic.
It's interesting also that the smartphones, I mean, you can do everything on it. You can FaceTime and communicate visually. You can get your email. You can send texts, Instagram, all this stuff. But damn it, they're very hard to make a phone call on. It's just, I don't get it. All this stuff, they cannot perfect just making a phone call. Our guest is Dr. John M. Kennedy. His latest book is the Heart and Brain Play Jump Rope. Now, I'm going to assume that this is for younger kids, not high school kids.
Yeah, it's actually for two audience target population. It's for teachers to teach kids about the heart and brain and how they're connected and how stress is important to recognize. And it's also for tweeners and teenage kids to learn about the same thing, but also how to apply important coping mechanisms to help deal with the common stressors in their lives.
When we return in just a couple of moments, we're going to ask Dr. Kennedy to give us a couple of those tips on breathing, and maybe John and I will join in and lower our blood pressure here on Late Night Health with Dr. Kennedy. I'm Mark Alyn. Join us at latenighthealth.com, and the book and all of Dr. Kennedy's books, I'm going to assume, are at drkennedy.com, as well as wherever fine books are sold, like Amazon. Right?
Okay. Yep.
All right. We will return. Join us at latenighthealth.com when you have a chance. Lots going on over there. We'll be back. Thank you.
Sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Words are a critical aspect of success. How you get your point across is a crucial part of what makes anything sell. So do it right and hire a writer. Whether it's articles, blog posts, technical writings, website content, product descriptions, or ghostwriting anything from a novel to a nonfiction book about your navel, contact Servet Hassan. If you want it to sell, write it right. Email Servet at servet@servethassan.com.
Recently, I met Jacqueline from Bright here in Los Angeles. She gave me a hearing exam and then showed me how to hear again with the new Signia Pure Series hearing aids, and she can give you your life back too. I hear birds chirping, birds cooing, and even my wife. They easily connect to my smartphone. The Signia hearing aids are amazing, and with the charge and go, I don't have to fiddle with batteries and hear all day long. Not hearing is frustrating for you and your family. I know you don't have a problem, but trust me, call Bright Here now for a free hearing exam, a $125 value, yours free, just for making an appointment now. There are offices throughout the Los Angeles area. Call Bright Here now at 323-424-7100. That's 323-424-7100 for a free hearing exam. There's no obligation. Call now, 323-424-7100, or visit them on the web at brighthere.com. Role models. They can make all the difference. In our world today, they have never been more important. One of the nation's most successful mentoring organizations is Jewish Big Brothers Big Sisters of Los Angeles. Their mission is to assist youth in achieving their full potential through innovative and impactful programs. And no nonprofit agency does it better. Jewish Big Brothers Big Sisters of LA serves Jewish children, boys and girls in our local community with a mentoring program that's been going strong since 1915. That's only the beginning. This nationally known agency owns and operates Camp Bob Waldorf. Its summer camping and weekend retreat programs enrich the lives of youth throughout Greater Los Angeles. Then there's a college support program, and last but not least, work that helps kids all over the world through the Teen Talk app. Want to learn more? Go to jbbbsla.org. Donate. Get involved. There's no better way to make a difference.
The latest from the greatest, the best in new music by classic rockers, with your host, the insane Daryl Wayne.
This is Alice Cooper, and if Daryl Wayne is insane, what does that make me? Criminally insane. Stick around to find out.
Many of the artist interviews for the latest from the greatest have been captured on audio book. There is a Volume 1 and Volume 2. Great information and conversations with people in the industry and people surrounded by the industry, and of course the rock stars themselves.
I'm the Reverend Al Green, and you're listening to the insane Daryl Wayne. And I said Wayne Insane.
You can find it on Amazon or Blackstone Audio. Search for the latest from the greatest from Daryl Wayne, Darrell Wayne.
Hello, this is Weird Al Yankovic, and you're listening to the insane Daryl Wayne, aren't you?
Late Night Health continues. I'm Mark Alyn, along with John Bandcamp, sitting in for the insane Daryl Wayne. Our guest is Dr. John M. Kennedy, and we're talking about the beneficial impact of breath, of breathing on setting and just living, really. Wouldn't you say that, breathing is important? I mean, yoga...
It is. It's more than just breathing, though. When I was in medical school, I remember being at the scrub sink and learning from an incredible cardiac surgeon. And he taught us a skill of visualization. He taught us at the scrub sink to rehearse the entire operation from beginning to end at the scrub sink. And so we would watch the operation at the scrub sink, what instrument we used, how we would make an incision, and then watch the entire operation from beginning to end. And then the other type of visualization before we stepped into the room to put our gloves on was a type of visualization called extrinsic visualization, where we would watch ourselves perform and execute perfectly. And so those two types of visualization, which are very common and are learned by elite athletes and surgeons, are integrated into the Breathe methodology, which is a methodology that I created. And each and every one of the exercises uses this type of visualization. So it's in addition to breathing, which is very important, because when we take a deep breath in, our heart rate subtly increases. And when we extend our exhalation, we stimulate this nerve called the vagus nerve, and we cause our heart rate to slow. And then the third thing that this teacher taught me in medical school was that when you imagine a positive outcome, when you tell yourself that you're going to succeed, when you imagine a success in your life, whatever that task may be, it's much more likely to come to fruition. And so this Breathe technique and methodology that I've created combines all three of those elements. It combines guided imagery, the visualization. It combines the controlled conscious breathing, where you extend your exhalation to lower your heart rate and lower your blood pressure. And then it combines positive self-talk. And each one of these 7-step exercises helps you to focus, concentrate, relax, and protect your heart all at the same time.
I'm blown away because you said you learned these in medical school.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. You must have gone to a very progressive medical school, because
I went to, at that time, that was Dartmouth in New Hampshire, and it was a progressive teacher. And it was an incredibly important skill that now I use today. A lot of surgeons use that skill today, and many elite athletes use a very similar type of pre-shot routine.
so that you visualize yourself coming through the finish line first, you beating your own record.
Exactly.
Right. And do you think that most people are shallow breathers? Now, when I'm doing a voiceover, or even now, I try to bring my breath all the way down into my gut, into my belly, and make it full. But if do shallow breathing, my voice actually goes up and I need all the help I can get in keeping it down. But do you think that most people really don't know how to breathe?
I think most people don't ever think about it. I don't know if it's that they don't know how to breathe. It's just they don't ever think about it. But you're right that when you are, let's say, nervous about an interview, which you don't sound like you are, Mark. But let's say
I was so nervous I was nervous that we weren't going to connect. So that was my problem.
So let's say you're going to interview, I don't know, someone that you really were excited to talk to. Let's say it's a president of the United States or some prime minister, or something that you're really excited about. When we have a performance anxiety, that stimulates the stress response we were talking about. Our heart rate goes up, our blood pressure can rise a bit, we can get sweaty palms and a dry mouth, and we tend to breathe faster and more shallow. So that can affect our voice, the way we express ourselves, and it can make our voice a little higher and a little faster, a little pressured. We call it pressured speech. And when you breathe, when you take especially inhalation through your nose and then extended exhalation through your mouth, you slow your heart rate, you slow your blood pressure, you're able to focus a little more, you're able to think of your words and your phrases more, and it calms you down and you sound a little better.
I have a ring that measures heart rate. Are you familiar with the ring?
I am familiar.
The circular.
Yep, very familiar. With the guy that invented it. Yeah.
Wow, is that funny?
Right.
And I'm blown away by this. It's a great device. I wish it did blood pressure, but
they're working on that. Yeah.
I know. It's a great device. Let's do a couple of things. I came up with something: performance anxiety. Okay, men having sex for the first time with a girl, with a woman that they love, even if you've been with a person for years, men suffer from performance anxiety, especially as we get older. Can the breathe technique help there?
Yeah, I think the breathe technique that has not been explored, but anything that causes us to be anxious or to be worried about, a more common example would be, public speech. You're getting in front of a bunch of people, and you have to perform, and you have to recite, your rehearsed speech perfectly. Most people are or many people are very afraid of that situation.
It's the number one fear. It's like the number one fear of people. We only have a couple minutes left. Can you give us one quick technique that we can use to?
So the breathe technique goes through 7 steps, and it combines those special forms of relaxation I told you about: guided imagery, conscious controlled breathing, and positive self-talk. And this is just one example. I'm just going to go through the steps. So begin. You sit in your comfortable chair, your most favorite couch, for example, and then relax. You take 3 deep breaths in through your nose and then out through your mouth. Extend your exhalation to 7, and this will stimulate the relaxation response. And then envision. Pick a task that you want to do around the house. You want to answer 10 emails, or you want to, clean the room.
I want to interview the President of the United States.
Or interview the President of the United States, a great one. And then you imagine all those sights and sounds that would be involved with that, how he would be sitting across from you, or she, and they would be, listening to you intently. They would have an agenda that you were going to cover. You imagine all those things. You imagine all the sights and sounds involved with that interview. And then you imagine watching yourself from the grandstands. You imagine watching yourself having this dialogue, this beautiful conversation with the President of the United States, and how it's going incredibly well, and how the president is impressed with you and you with him or her. And then you treat yourself, the T in breathe. You treat yourself to this incredibly pleasurable experience. You're watching yourself succeed. It's an amazing event. And then heal. When you relax, when you do these things, these types of visualizations, and you breathe, you're actually sending out feel-good hormones that are bathing your body. They're causing your blood pressure to fall, your heart rate to fall. And then you end. You end your exercise by doing a quick summary of all the 7 steps. Begin, relax, envision, apply, treat, heal, end. That's it.
I've really enjoyed our short time together. Will you come back?
Absolutely.
Now I'm anxious here. You really will.
I will come back. Yeah.
Okay, good. Listen, the name of the book for kids and preteens, the Heart and Brain Play Jump Rope. And Dr. Kennedy has some other books as well. You can check him out at breathewithdrkennedy.com. He has lots and lots of websites, folks. Breathe with Dr. Kennedy, drkennedy.com, and really a nice guy and a progressive individual in terms of healthcare. I thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
And thank you for listening to us. Thank you, John. I appreciate your help today.
Pleasure.
And thanks for keeping me on,
Thanks, John.
on time.
Thank you.
Thank you. And have a good week, everybody. Have a great week. Most importantly, have a healthy week. Go for that walk around the block. I'll try to do it too. See you next time. Bye-bye for now.